The Aquarian Minyan has always been, for me, a very powerful spiritual community. It's a community that has its own founding encounter with the divine. That's how I see it. And although we have our struggles and our disagreements and our lax times and our excited times, there's something there that's extremely genuine and wild and original and like a little weed in the mountains that you want to cultivate. You don't want it to die. You want to keep it thriving. And that's the Minyan.
You know, for me, the Minyan is really about prayer. It's really about my connection to God.
I was at this incredible wedding, and all of a sudden I just started blessing everybody. And it was like I couldn't stop it. And from that day on, I just was blessing people wherever I went. You know, something I learned from Reb Zalman, something I learned from Reb Shlomo, and wherever I went, I would bless people.
I love the Minyan. I love the people. I love the spirit. I love the ruach. I love the energy and the dancing. And I also love the authenticness about the people who come there. They are truly soul people, and I have found a real connection to my soul.
My days have been in the Minyan have been an absolute treasure for me, and I really mean that. It's been a real gift. I feel like the Minyan has birthed me. I owe so much, I have so much gratitude.
Without the Aquarian Minyan, I would not be who I am. I would not have the life that I have. I would not have achieved what I've achieved. Just my whole being a Jew and being connected to Judaism.
And then one day Reb Zalman called and said, I'd like to give you a special certificate, a special smicha. And I said, what for? And, you know, because certificates and titles don't mean a lot to me. And he said, to be the Baal Bracha, the master of blessing. Turns out there are a number of other Baal Brachas who've come along since then, you know, but it became part and parcel of my spiritual identity. And, you know, and the role I play in this community and in the supermarket and on the streets and wherever I go is to give over my blessings.
I fell in love with davening. I fell in love with prayer. And Zalman became my Rebbe. And after that davening workshop, he said to the group, you know, let's not let this go. Let's make sure you all stay together. Let's make sure you all, you know, meet and form a group.
Somebody led me to the Aquarian Minyan High Holiday Services, and at that time there were only really two renewal congregations, the Kehillah and the Aquarian Minyan, and the Aquarian Minyan was very large, especially around the high holidays. And I was just really drawn to it. I loved the spirituality and I loved the chanting, and for most of the year services were in people's homes. I really loved the intimacy and the informality.
So I had really only heard about the Minyan as kind of by legend. Aquarian Minyan was the legendary, crazy and wild Berkeley community, out of which came many of these teachers in Jewish renewal, whom I was now getting to know and studying with, many of whom had also very eclectic spiritual backgrounds in ecstatic practice or meditative practice. And I got to study with them, and so I got the flavor of the Minyan coming across time and space.
Suddenly my mother's dying and I'm without a home, and they really took me in, and it was a joy. And you know, before you knew it, a year or so I was up on the Bima leading services, and I've been leading ever since. And And so the Minyan was really what brought me back to Judaism.
I really lost interest in Judaism for several decades until some new God language started appearing. Holy One of Blessing, your presence fills creation felt a lot more real and approachable to me than Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, King of the universe. And so that's really what led me into renewal Judaism, was the new approach that made me feel welcome as a woman and as someone who had a strong connection to nature.
After being in the Minyan for I don't know how long, I started taking a role in terms of leading services, because Jewishly I was the most knowledgeable person in the Minyan in those years, except for Zalman. But Zalman wasn't living in Berkeley. So, you know, by hook or by crook, I became the first rabbi of the Minyan on the local rabbi, because Zalman was the real Rebbe of the Minyan.
There's always been a tension between everybody's the Rebbe and following a Rebbe like Zalman.
There were several of us in the Minyan who had issues with authority. I think probably that continues to be the case among people in the Minyan today. We had a sense that, you know, maybe we could do this ourselves.
The Aquarian Minyan provided me with so many opportunities and avenues to express myself Jewishly that I never would have dreamt that I would have, especially coming from Vermont.
As a Jewish musician, working in this community, with this community, playing with this community, praying with this community, has just been a gift.
We're all Rebbes. We all have the access to the cosmic essence, the divine essence, to God. And you don't have to be a rabbi, you don't have to be a priest. All you have to do is have the will, essentially, and be open to that stream.
I love doing services with the Minyan. I feel that my new role is as a gesher, a bridge, a connector, and the Minyan has enabled me to develop those particular skills.
Aquarian Minyan was this incredible playground where people could sign up and lead a Shabbos. And it was like, welcome to the wonderful world of Shabbos. And everybody was into Shabbos and a round of rituals that was going to plant us here and now, that this is the place we need to be.
They'd heard me singing, and that I knew all the songs, and you know, I knew the liturgy, which was then a lot of straight liturgy, not, you know, the whole renewal liturgy. And so in the course of the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah, the first time I'd gone to Rosh Hashanah in 20 years, I probably had every person in the Minyan who was a founder or a leader, or everyone came over to me, like, who are you, and to talk to me.
The services are often marked by dancing, by joy. They're ecstatic services. They're very spontaneous. There will be some designated leaders, and then sometimes things will happen that aren't necessarily planned, and we'll start dancing, and it's a neo-Hasidic approach to Jewish spiritual life, without the rigidity and without the misogyny.
Reb Zalman said, don't try to lead, because people don't want to follow. But offer instruction and offer support. He said, because people are getting older. people are going to need help, and they're going to need spiritual help, and they're going to need other kinds of help. So be gentle and be compassionate, but don't try to lead.
When I first came in 1985 and got involved, there were many, many rabbis. They had already been ordained, and they were a part of the Aquarian Minyan because this is a place where they could play and discover and go really deep, 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 deep inside. And so I've seen the Aquarian Minyan kind of as a galaxy that is creating and spewing out stars. And many of these stars have gone off to other parts of the country and are doing incredible work. The work of making spirituality meaningful.
I'm now one of the service leaders that feels fantastic about standing up there and sharing whatever gifts I have, because I know that they're both welcome and accepted. And I think that's the gift, again, of the Minyan, to take everyone and welcome them in and utilize their gifts in the best possible way for the good of all, so we all benefit from it.
We're very conscious of our lineage, coming from the Baal Shem Tov through Rabbi Zalman Schachter, through the House of Love and Prayer, through to the days when Rabbi Zalman started the Aquarian Minyan. And we have a powerful legacy also from the man who was our rabbi during the 80s, Rabbi David Wolfblank, Olav Hasholem, who died in an accident. And we still feel powerfully connected to him too.
One of the first teachers I encountered was Rabbi David Wolfblank, Zichrono Livracha. We had an amazing Shabbaton with him. I've told this story a number of times now, but he was the rabbi of the Aquarian Minyan, the Rabbi Chaver at that time. So he was coming from Berkeley to Minnesota in the middle of the winter, and we all gathered on Friday night at the church where we met, the Friends house, meeting house where we met. We were waiting for him, and the phone call came through that he had missed his plane. So we did our own Friday night service. It was the highest service. It was like he already was there. You know, it was a level of devotion and just spiritual connectedness that we didn't experience in our everyday Shabbats, but he was already there. And the next morning he did arrive, and I walked into the sanctuary where he was already sitting, and I'd been asked to lead some movement since that was kind of my area of specialty, so I was preparing to do that, and I just felt this huge space open up in the room. A combination of the flavors and the thickness and the history of the Jewish space and the vastness of the Buddhist space that I was familiar with. And I thought to myself, I could learn with this person.
I think we owe its beginnings to Reb Shlomo and to Reb Zalman, but the fact that it has been continuing all through the years, even though there have been issues and problems with authority and with rabbis, and I think it remains as a important testament to the reasons for the creation of Jewish renewal.
We get together, I would say, about 4 or 5 times a month. There's an event. There's a couple of services, and we have these author nights, which have been a good program, and the rabbi teaches at least 2 classes a month. And it's family. It's tribe. It's infinitely connected to the New Age of the 60s and the 70s, but it's also evolving now forward to a group of people who are older and who are dealing with issues of the end of life. And there's a great deal that we have to give to younger people and to each other. so that it's a powerful experience being part of it.
And what's happened in the last decade is that several other Jewish renewal groups have grown up in the East Bay, and the Minyan has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. A key part of our current revival, I think, is finding Rabbi Diane Elliot. She's a very deeply spiritual and powerful leader for us. And I really love to participate in the classes and services and other events that she leads. She's very remarkable.
And if you've never been at an Aquarian Minyan High Holidays, you can't quite imagine the mixture of high spirits, of disorganization, of jangliness, of deep davening, of interpersonal pullings, all the kinds of dynamics that you would find in any intensely charged family ritual event are there in an Aquarian Minyan event, but particularly in the High Holidays, which was the signature of the Aquarian Minyan, I understand, for so many years, was when the Minyan was the only Jewish renewal community in the Bay Area, and hundreds of people would come to these services that were led by Rabbi David, Reb David, and many intensely talented, intellectual, and deep lay leaders.
What I see really evolving in the Minyan at this point is that deepening of the actualization of spirit. I think in the beginning years there was more of a split, I would call it, and there's no judgment on that, good or bad, but it was just like many other people and organizations struggle with, how do you actually take that ruach and spirit that you have in the sanctuary and really put it into action so that you can use it in everyday life?
What I love is the services, the times when we get together as a community. There's this feeling of really a powerful sense of spirituality. And you have this bunch of maybe 8 or 30 kind of older people, and we're running around with the Torah and doing the ritual, but that's not what it is. It's something far deeper than that. And it's really my community, it's my village, it's my partner's village, and I feel very at home here. I feel as though the rabbi is my teacher that we have now, and what I learned being the Shomeret was that everyone is my teacher.
And so it was instant connection, instant community, like-minded people in the sense that we're going to be open to wherever you're at, for the most part, if it's not hurting somebody else. And it's about equality between the sexes and creating justice, which I believe is what all religions are at the heart. How do we treat each other, and how do we make for justice in the world?
The incredible gift that the Minyan has had has been really amazing for the community and for me personally. My very closest, dearest friends are Minyan members, and it is a family.
I think we're all looking for who we are, but it's so wonderful to be in a community of like-minded people. And just like families, we quarrel, we have differences of opinion, but we do make up and we support each other, and that's the part that I love.
Meeting Rabbi Diane has been an amazing experience too. She has catapulted this community to center stage in the Bay Area, I think, and inspired many of us, all of us, to be the best that we can possibly be.
Minyan membership is getting older, so we're evolving into an organization whose primary purpose seems to be to help older people develop our spiritual lives.
And at this point, I think what's evolving here is that people are aligning themselves more with a global consciousness, which is that in everything we do, God is reflected in that. And the Minyan is no exceptions. So I see this evolution deepening so that we have not only the deepest organization spiritually, but also that it's a sustainable organization, and that it is in alignment with what I see globally, which is that everybody sees a likeness of God in themselves, that we can sustain each other, that the bottom line, so to speak, is a triple bottom line, and that includes helping one another and sustaining each other, and that we are all responsible for each other.
I think the intergenerational connections can be incredibly amazing. So I'm looking forward to being here for a long time, whether as a visitor or guest or part of the Minyan, and just sharing these amazing gifts of family.
I'm concerned about the future of the Aquarian Minyan as we are all getting older, myself included. There are no exceptions to that. We've been around for 35 years. We've been the mothership of renewal Judaism. And now as our numbers decline, there's an uncertainty about what the Minyan will do. My own concern is that we preserve this wonderful, rich legacy in whatever way makes sense.
And I wanted to say the importance of women's role in the Minyan, because most of our leaders are women, and their dynamism and their energy and their knowledge and their spirituality will win over the day and carry us into the next generation.
I think we've deepened, we've grown, and we're really in a process, I'm in a process with the Minyan of understanding what kinds of structure might support a community that's aging and deepening, and where people are in need, and where the spiritual needs are changing as people come closer to their eldering years. People are ill, people are dealing with dying, with others dying, with losing members of their own generation, with their own approach to dying, which is also a birth. And my sense is that although the Minyan has always had difficulties, in some ways been challenged with the creating of structure, because it came so much out of the anarchy and the summers of love of the 60s, and the LSD experiences and the House of Love and Prayer. I haven't actually spoken about any of that history, but I'm sure others have. The simple bottom of the pyramid structures that you need to make it through life and death haven't been in place. And so we're going back to look at those.
What I pray for, I think, is that as the Minyan becomes more sustainable, and that's my hope, God willing, that we're able to infuse not only the rest of the Judaic community, but other communities as well, and that as part of our sustainability, we really make a difference.
My dearest Aquarian Minyan members, past, present, and hopefully a future. If we have no future, if the Aquarian Minyan somehow comes to an end, I have a blessing to offer, that we have been gifted with the most richest, treasured religious and spiritual experiences imaginable. And that if we face a future without the Aquarian Minyan, all we have to do is turn around and look back and see this incredible blessing that has been given to us, and to really take that in, and to see what we've done and where we've come, and to take it inside of ourselves as a spirit, and to promulgate it and to teach it. Bless us all. Amen.
I want to acknowledge all the people through all the years who have had the vision, and the founders who had the vision to nurture the energy that is the Aquarian Minyan, to invite, to welcome the people who were lost or hurting the way the Minyan people welcome the lost and the hurting and the joyous, and to create an energy, a container of the whole, of a consciousness that is striving to see and to know and to be real and to understand and to speak the truth and to dance and to love and to play and to truly to ivdu et Hashem b'simcha, to serve God, the universe, the one, with joy. That's the Aquarian Minyan to me now, and please God forever. Amen. Ho.
So I want to bless whoever sees this video, this movie. I want to bless you that that you receive the transmission, and that this living Native American Hasidism that embodies feminism, that embodies earth-centeredness, that embodies, you know, loving and including all people regardless of sexual preference or origins or whatever, that this Native American Hasidism in some way or other ignites something in you, so that you become richer and stronger in your identity, no matter what path you take in your life, and that you become part of this great paradigm shift that must occur in our lifetime for the sake of ourselves, those we love, and especially for future generations. Amen.